Have you been waiting to play World of Warcraft on your Xbox or on your PlayStation or on your Switch?
Or on your couch?
Well, this might be coming sooner than we think because like for the last, I would say 5 to 6 years, Blizzard has been steadily introducing lots of new features to address at least the compatibility for controllers in World of Warcraft and actually also some changes for the cameras and angles and how you interact. I don't know if this is like the best idea for them, but I can see why they would try to do this.
I think most of this started from increasing the accessibility to the game for people who cannot properly use a keyboard and a mouse, and that's actually really cool. Not to mention with all the additional changes that you mentioned, we have the action camera, we have the near targeting, where you don't have to like click or tap to target stuff. So all of this kind of makes using controllers more suitable, more feasible, and we might transition into a world where we have WoW on our TVs, man.
I mean, you can definitely make an argument for it. There's like you see a lot of examples for different MMOs being on consoles, and they kind of like garnered a fan base over there. It all kind of started in 2016 when they introduced the console action cam on that little command where you would see the whole field of view more like of a console type feeling, like Gears of War type camera angle, where your perspective would be different, all over the shoulder, right?
Yeah.
And then you had like in Shadowlands, you had all of the Game Pass support that was added over there. I mean, there was like signs over there, but then in Dragonflight they introduced the action combat, which you mentioned, which basically lets you like target things that you're facing, which is like
the closest target to you. So you don't have to like put an input in.
Exactly. And you also have like one of the biggest things that could work for consoles is the interact key, which it's kind of a big thing, because if you have like the action cam plus the targeting while you're facing and an interact key, then it makes at least the casual questing side of things much more smoother, right?
I mean, it kind of translates it into a regular RPG on a console where you have like one key that you use for opening boxes, looting, talking to NPCs and stuff like that. So that definitely makes sense, and that's a really good indicator, man.
Yeah, it's very good. Now, at the moment, you can definitely play World of Warcraft with multiple controllers, right? You have controllers for Xbox, for PlayStation, for Switch, NVIDIA Shield, Steam controller as well. I mean, I don't know if you saw, but Swifty was playing World of Warcraft on an NVIDIA Shield, and it was, I mean, if you can handle the small screen or whatever, that's pretty cool. I've seen a lot of like forum posts on people playing their WoW on Steam Decks as well, which, we can make an argument on why would that be appealing, but we have to like kind of categorize where would this fit in within the World of Warcraft gameplay and where not to.
Oh, there might be some pros and cons as to how can this work, which they would have to like revitalize the entire encounter design, because right now when it comes to playing on a controller, whatever controller you want or whatever console you want, sure, you can probably do world questing, normal questing, your campaigns and stuff like that. That's nice. But once you get into like some content, either it being PvE or PvP, you might encounter some issues with stuff like, normally you're supposed to be able to see behind you when mechanics are happening, when waves are coming or balls exploding, stuff like that. And that can be kind of tricky to do with a controller. And this is probably what most people are thinking about. And we can also talk about PvP stuff which can be translated maybe into Mythic Plus, where you need fast reaction times and accessibility to certain spells. But there are ways, because I know that a lot of people said, but dude, there's not enough buttons, man. You have like 10 buttons in your controller. How are you gonna fit all of it?
Usually now the controller nowadays have, at least 12 usable buttons and, 2 modifier keys. So that can already allow you for like 24 to 48 and all of that. I mean, it can be done. The thing is like, for now, when we're talking about the different spectrums of content, you can not in any reality can do like, I don't know, a heroic rating going forward or high keys, I don't know, 15 plus or whatever, not to mention arenas. You mentioned a very, very good point over there. Like if they could cater and create a content that is specifically designed to be played with a controller, its own little world within World of Warcraft, that could totally make sense. But as it currently stands, apart from, the casual stuff, or maybe, dragon riding is a very good example of playing with a controller and having fun with it. Yeah. Other than that, the avenues where you would play World of Warcraft are just, too complex to be able to be handled with controllers. But that being said, you've seen things like what was it? Elder Scrolls, where they do have
Yeah, they do
raids.
that. And to be fair to Blizzard and to the devs, they seem. I mean, I don't know if the steps that they're taking are in the direction of making the game eventually available on console, but stuff like revamping the UI and essentially giving you more accessibility in the UI, so you don't need external add-ons, which would have been, let's say, maybe an issue or at least a friction when it comes to playing on a console. Having your UI more interactive, more like the way you can customize it, it definitely feels like you can adjust your UI to fit on your TV or to fit on your
big
control.
hint.
Yeah, that's kind of like a hint as well, right? So plus you need fewer add-ons, and we'll see once we actually get to play the raid and stuff, if they start designing encounters where you that can promote action camera usage, so you don't feel like, oh my god, I cannot play this, I have to go back to my PC, then I can definitely see a world where this would come to the Xbox, and I don't know if I mind it that much.
This is the thing. So there's that, plus the fact that once you plug in a controller, so obviously now Blizzard has like the automated interface. If you don't have an add-on for it, then it will automatically have you switch. You can toggle this option on. Now the thing is, you also have the utility ring once you have a controller in it. That is very similar to the OPI add-on. If you know that little circle where you select things and all of that. It's very similar to that. From what Sun has tested, which Sun is like a bar editor and head of research and whatever, what the Sun has tested over there, and what's kind of like the vibe when playing WoW specifically for that, it's obviously that it's much easier for melees to get, you know, the enjoyment, but it's very difficult for healers specifically, because if you want to heal a party of 10, let's say, you cannot really go ahead and click each frame, right? You're gonna have to make like macros for each individual player to be able to heal them. So that's a whole other kind of worms, right?
Yeah.
Range, yeah, it's a little bit more difficult, but not the end of the world. Definitely melees have like the easier time. Now, from what Sun has tested and, you know, everything that she gathered up over there, the interface and, you know, what Blizzard standardly offers is a little bit clunky, and the keybinds are a little bit messed up. There's still an add-on that can be used for this that we kind of recommend, which is like console port. You can find it anywhere. That is much more smoother. In its interface, it's way easier to navigate and make it work in a sense. This is something that maybe is not like the biggest hint, so they're working towards it, and I know Sun tested it on a PS5 controller. And yeah, it's all clunky from Blizzard's interface, but once you put in the console port add-on, it is way smoother. And if you do play WoW with a controller or plan to, this is like highly recommended to be used up until they get their shit together when it comes to this. But if you look like a semi-conclusion for controllers in WoW and WoW becoming like available for consoles. First of all, yeah, it was logical for them to add the support, because you can really see it being useful for people with, you know, accessibility issues or some sort of disabilities. But they are bad for people like, I don't know, people from our guild, let's say, who like do like a million different things when they DPS jump around and, you know, have to do mechanics and all that. It's very hard. Like if you're like a gladiator player and want to see everything around you and have like super point-second reactions, a controller will not be able to give you
Currently,
that.
the game engine does not promote proper control uses across all of its difficulties and across all of its content. We are seeing strides, because I remember back in the day, back in Worlds of Draenor, where it started to like pop up this oh wow, it's coming to controller stuff, and add-ons have been popping out to use your UI to make like a console. It's come a long way since then, and we definitely see strides. And, you know, with all the Microsoft news, who knows what the future entails. And
yeah, we can totally see it. If this is the future for them, and they're gonna develop it and have game modes in such a way that will be pleasant to be played from the couch. I mean, I wouldn't mind playing WoW from a couch if it doesn't involve, you know, the content we usually do, like some chill out stuff or dragon riding contest or whatever. That can happen, and it would make sense financially and technically to have it included in the Game Pass, right?
it'll also open the game to like so many more players.
Yeah, that will just flood it in, man. But that's the thing. It's gonna open another door of issues, because you're gonna have players with controllers that will probably want to play Mythic Plus, and they're gonna oh man, I can only see the problems over there. It's an MMO. You're gonna have
charging into the boss instead of a pack.
it's gonna be hectic. But if they do it, I think like the biggest W they can get out of this is actually including the game within the Game Pass, and then having it available, having like some sort of World of Warcraft console edition. And we believe that if not during Dragonflight, the next expansion I would put my money on having a console edition 100%.
That's cool, because you know what else they did this time around as well, and from what I hear they did this before as well, but once you create your new evoker, you get a prompt that says this is an advanced class, you really want to do it, and they have, at least in the last couple of years, they haven't added a prompt where it tells you, are you sure you want to access this part of the game, because it might be different from what you're trying to do, and it feels like they could have something like that for controllers. Like, are you sure you want to go into the raid? This might not work if you're playing on an Xbox or a PlayStation.
That's a very good step, actually, indeedy. So, what do you think? Would you play World of Warcraft on a console if it will be available? Because if it will be available with the next expansion, then you can expect testing, I would say, as soon as in a year from now. And I would be excited to test it out. Once again,
cool.
If they have like game modes that would benefit, again, Dragon Riding is a really good example. It can work really cool on the keyboard and mouse, but can you imagine the fun you would have on a controller with that
They can
shit?
do scenarios like, you know, the battle for Lordaeron when we, prior to BFA, those kind of story modes, that could be cool and can be done with, they could add more of that and that would be cool.
Yeah. So maybe, you know, 1v1 duels and stuff like that. There's I mean, if you're gonna open up the imagination wormhole, there can be a lot of stuff that would be positive for it. But once again, what do you think? Would you play it? Would you want it? Do you think it would be for the, I don't know, good for the health of the game? Let us know in the comments. And thank you, Patrons, for supporting all of the content that we do. Couldn't have done it without you. If you want to join the team, check the link in the description. Flame, say something.
Send down below. And thank you for watching the video and being a part of all of this that we're doing. We're super happy to have you here. See you in the next one.
Bye!
I've been loving it then, I still love it now. Still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. Getting better every day, let me show you how. Cause still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. It's getting harder to stay, but at the end of the day, it's a guilty pleasure, so just log in and play. Whether it's classic or retail, I'ma do a /bow. Still, I play WoW.